Hey girl, hey! Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Jensine, aka Jungle Naps. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Natasha Denona Sunrise Palette. This is her right here. I love the packaging. Anything with like red packaging just draws my eyes. Red and purple are like some of my favorite colors, so it's no surprise that I'm really drawn to this. Now, this palette, it's interesting. It is a lot cheaper than Natasha Denona's palettes usually are, and I'm gonna explain to you why. Firstly, this palette is a lot smaller than some of her original 15 pan palettes. Now, I brought out my Natasha Denona, the Lila palette, so you could compare and see. So as you guys can see, this is a lot smaller. Now this means that the pans are actually a lot smaller in the Sunrise palette here. And honestly, I mean, given that the original 15 pan palettes are like, I believe they're like 129, I want to say, somewhere in that ballpark area. Listen, I mean, who wants to spend $129 when you can spend $65 and get the same formula, get the same brand? I'm really feeling that. And personally, I feel like if you are someone that does already have quite a few palettes, you don't really need the pans to be that big. You just need them to really be big enough so that you can use them for a significant amount of time. So with that being said, I'm okay with the smaller pan size. Now let me get into telling you a little bit more about this. I'm going to show you how I created this eye look, of course. You're also going to see some swatches, and then I'm going to come back and show you guys my final thoughts. So opening up this palette, these are what these shades look like. You guys, they are absolutely stunning in person. I don't even know if it's translating as well on camera, but when you open it, you're just like, wow, like I can't wait to put this on my face. Now these are all brand new shades, so they're not repeated in any of Natasha Denona's singles or other palettes. Now the cool thing about this palette is it is inspired by the morning sunrise colors. So here's how they describe it. You've got sunny yellows, crimson corals, earthy browns, and powerful pinks. So these colors are what I live for, honestly, because they go so well with my skin tone, and also because I have that like a golden undertone, it really vibes with colors like this. Alright, so now I'd like to show you some swatches before we get into this eye look. Now here we have Poppy, a crimson bronze metallic, Citrine, a warm yellow matte, Phlox, burnt warm crimson metallic, Awakening, a lavender nude duochrome, Laurel, peachy champagne metallic, Aster, violet mauve duochrome, Glory, a fuchsia matte, Azalea, pink copper duochrome, Morgan, a pastel coral creamy matte, Agate, champagne apricot metallic, Clove, dark maroon creamy matte, Carnelian, burnt light orange creamy matte, Jasper, bright terracotta creamy matte, Morning, light apricot creamy matte, and Day Spring, a nude bronze metallic. I do have to say, all of these colors look fantastic. So let me go ahead. I'm gonna show you how I achieved this eye color, and of course I gotta tell you guys whether I think this palette is really worth it. Alright, so first I'm going to pick this shade right here. It's called Morgan, and use that in my transition, just building it up really gently. And then I'm using a smaller blending brush just to get right there on the like inner corner of my eye, because I like to just bring that transition down there. Now I'm gonna go into Jasper right here. I'm gonna put that in my transition area just to deepen that up a little bit. And you see how I'm starting really gentle right in there and just slowly blending that out. I don't want this to overpower my transition. I'd still like to see the first color, Morgan. So I'm actually feeling a little inspired to cut my crease. I haven't done that in a while. I'm going to take my concealer. This is the Too Faced Born This Way. And I'm also going to take a MAC 248 and just cut my crease. And I'm also going to bring it a little bit over that fold where my eye normally creases because I have hooded eyes. So I need to maximize whatever space I can get. Next up, I'm going to go into, this is called Aster, this beautiful iridescent purpley color. Next, I'm going to go into this color Poppy, and I'm going to use it to cover up the rest of the cut crease. And I'm definitely going to start slow with this one and then build it up in all the appropriate areas because I really don't want to mess up what I've got going on with this cut crease. So if you're attempting this look, just take your time. And then to kind of bridge the gap between Aster and Poppy, I'm going to take the color Azalea, which is like this beautiful orange shimmer. I think it's like a perfect summer shade. And I'm going to dab it in the middle with my finger and just kind of create a nice transition. All right, so I put some liner and some lashes on, and now the look is complete. I wasn't really sure if I was gonna be digging it, but I actually like it. This is a lot different than what I usually do. I mean, look, I love the color scheme of this palette. It looks insanely gorgeous. Now, as far as how the colors perform, the colors that I used, Morgan, let's start with Morgan, that was in the transition. Initially, I did have some trouble with it clinging to some areas of my skin more than others. So basically, it just basically means that it didn't look fully blended. Some areas looked more pigmented than others. So it did take me a little bit more time. I had to go over, smooth things out with my blending brush, but that was the only issue I had with that color. I'm not going to completely rule out the fact that my eyelids, my upper part of my eyelids are dry occasionally, so I will throw that in there, but I'm going to continue using that shade and see if I still get that issue happening. Now, something that I do want to note is like the shimmers in this bad boy are so lovely and they're very unique. When you look at it in the pan, you're like, oh, okay, like I can dupe that. Sure, you can dupe that, but there are some reflex in a lot of these shimmers that I think are really unusual, like this one, Aster, right here. It initially looks like just a lavender shimmer, but when you do put it on, you do notice that yes, it is like a lavender nude because it's meant to show peaks of your skin underneath, and not in a way where, oh, you just think like it's not blendable or it's not opaque enough. Like that's what it's meant to do, and it's a really beautiful effect. In person, you can notice it a lot more. Also, another thing that I want to note, the mattes are like incredibly blendable. Like you don't have to do much work to blend these mattes, and I find that to be really consistent with the other Natasha Denona palettes that I do have. The mattes are incredibly easy. Now, I do want to note about the shimmers. I've always found it's way easier to apply the shimmers with your finger. There's just nothing like it using the Natasha shadows. The brushes work well, there's nothing wrong with that, but I always find if you want to really make them pop, if that's your goal, applying them with your fingers are the way to go. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but I just want to note, you know, if you're having some trouble applying any of the Natasha shadows, her old formulas, this formula, whatever, try it with your finger and see how it comes out. I mean, honestly, I personally think this palette is a banger because it's a $65 palette from Natasha Denona. We know that's basically a rare thing to happen right there. I hope that she continues producing smaller palettes. I just think it's a little bit more practical, and she's going to be able to hit a wider market of people to sell to in the $65 price point as opposed to their $129 price point. And I like that this makes it more travel friendly as well. I do want to note to you guys that I don't know if you can see it, but you do get a little bit of kickback in the pan, you know, as soon as you start using it. Now the cool thing is you don't get a lot falling underneath here. That's something that I was definitely worried about because I did my face first and I was just like, please, please, please don't have a lot of fallout on my face. But you do see it in the pan and that's fine. I mean, I don't know if some of you guys are obsessed with having your palette look pristine and clean. Most of us aren't. So as long as it stays in the pan, like, I'm good with that. So if you're like feeling warm tones, like these colors are your jam, and you definitely want to step more into the high-end / mid-tier range. You just want shadows that are going to be really easy to work with. I definitely suggest this palette. The Sunrise palette is bomb. I can't wait to continue using this throughout the summer, and because I just feel like it's like perfect for the season, you know? Oh, and one other tip that I do suggest is for your eyeshadow primer, please make sure that you use a primer that's not too drying, because you will have a hard time blending some of these colors if your primer makes your skin kind of dry. I didn't say this in the beginning, but I did use this one from the Balm. It's called Put a Lid on It. You guys have probably seen me use it quite a bit, but it's really great because it's tacky and you can set it in the areas that you want to or not, whatever you want. But it did do a great job at grabbing this and making the shadows easy to blend still. Now, if you would like to see more of my high-end eyeshadow palette reviews, definitely check out some of the videos right next to me here. As always, I love you guys. Thank you for kicking it with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!